So I had done a video a couple months ago about Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis's wife, and how she didn't want to say who her parents are, like their names. She wanted to keep that private, which is rather odd. She's a public figure. And so some people had come across who her father was, which is Robert Black, because her maiden name is Black. Which is true, but nobody knew who her mother was. Well, Wikipedia updated it, and her mother's name is Jeanne Beatrice, and her maiden name would be Capranegro. And when you look up Capranegro family, it brings you to Antonio Rocco Capranegro, also known as Tony Bananas. He was an advisor of Angelo Bruno in the Philadelphia crime family. He is known for ending the peaceful Bruno regime by ordering his murder over a dispute concerning the methamphetamine trade. So apparently, Angelo Bruno, who's the head of the Philadelphia crime family, this would be back in your 60s, 70s, really. 70s, Capranegro was upset because Bruno was somewhat of an ethical mob boss. He didn't want to have to use force if he didn't have to. He preferred to just use blackmail. So Antonio Capranegro went to the commission. This would be your hierarchy of the mafia. To see if he could take him out. And he thought he had permission to do it, and so he hired somebody to shoot him in the head. And there's a gruesome picture of it, too, online. But he apparently misunderstood the commission, because the commission did not give him permission to do it. And so they took him, and he thought he was going to get his stripes, I guess, for becoming the new mob boss and taking over Angelo Bruno's spot, and instead what they did was they tortured and murdered him. And because of his greed, because that was what it was all about, he felt like if Bruno was more heavy-handed, and because of the methamphetamine trade, they could be bringing in more money. So then after they tortured and murdered Capranegro, they stuffed $300 in his mouth and in his butt because of his greed. And so they took him out. So the thing that is strange is not only that it takes you to that, but when you look at her parent, Casey DeSantis's mom, which is Jeanne Beatrice Capranegro, you look at her father and grandparents. Well, it does go all the way back to Sicily. So her parents, so this would be Casey DeSantis's grandparents, is Vito Antonio Capranegro. And then his parents, which would be Casey DeSantis's great-grandparents, great-grandparent would be, it goes back to Angelo Charles Capranegro. So that would be 1909. So Angelo Charles Capranegro would be her great-great-grandfather, and then her grandfather, Vito Capranegro, and then her mom, Jeanne Beatrice Capranegro. Yeah. And yet even who the Capranegros, the grandparent, who they married, it's a little, but I'm not even going to go there. But is that maybe why she didn't want to disclose who her parents are? Is because they're tied to, I don't know. It just is strange. It's strange why, because you would only hide something. I mean, you could say, oh, it's privacy. She didn't even want to mention who their names are, yet she's the wife of the governor of Florida. So, just something to think about here, because I've said before, there's something up with Sarasota, Florida. Really, it's the southern part of Florida. Because there's a whole bunch of patriots that live, or supposed patriots that live in Sarasota, Florida. And I'm sure there is a lot of patriots. I don't mean this against everybody. But there's, those popular ones that you think are all on your side, but you kind of should maybe look twice at because of some of the things they've said, and they've been in some administrations. So anyway, I'm not going to go there. But I found this article back in 2016 out of Sun Sentinel that said, this was a long article too, that Southern Florida is all mafia affiliated, because it's the one area in Florida, or anywhere I guess, where no mob family has taken ownership of. So your Mexican cartels, your Italian cartels, your Irish cartels, all of them, they all live there. Because nobody says, no, this is my part of, this isn't my block. So they all get along, and they actually work together. And so this article went on to say, a lot of people think that mafia just disappeared because 9/11 happened and people just forgot about it. But this ex-FBI agent was saying, no, they've been going strong, and in fact stronger, because they work together. Yeah, out of Southern Florida. I knew there was something up with Southern Florida. And Southern Florida is beautiful. I'm just saying that I thought it was strange that some of these people, and I'm not saying they're mob affiliated, I'm talking about those patriots you've seen, the ones people know about, the generals, some of them, just saying something's not, just strange. Like, it's one thing that you do your tours together and all that, but they all live in the same place. This is like what, you know where I'm going. So this ex-FBI agent said they've taken a bunch of them down in Southern Florida. This was in 2016, but there's still many going strong. This was a really long article, so I don't want to get into it, but yeah, so that's the reason why there's the whole Southern Florida. It's all your different cartels that live there. And then you consider how Ron DeSantis did traffic human beings. I know he called it busing, but it was still the same thing, along with Abbott. Sorry, but that's what they did. He could have put all these illegal immigrants that he carried on about, he could have put them on a plane, sent them back home. He governs his state. He could do it. Instead, he trafficked them to Chicago, and then Lori Lightfoot and Pritzker trafficked them to the suburbs. Right outside, well, like still in Cook County, but right at the suburbs, and who knows. That was trafficking. No matter how you want to cut it, how much you love him, that's what he did. It's the definition of it. And you have to have the links in the chain for the trafficking to be able to take place. There's a link in every part of the chain to move the people along. Well, he was a link in the chain. And considering that he was in Skull and Bones, I know people don't think that's a big deal. You should think that's a very big deal. Because most of the presidents we've had have been from Skull and Bones. Yale and Harvard are those two I keep saying be weary of. So he went to both of those, which if you're in Skull and Bones, it's not an innocent fraternity. You've basically signed up to be in the mafia because you've taken the gifts they've given you. So you're there for life. So considering he would marry her, and maybe her family is from a big mafia family, and so is he, then that means it would explain why he supported Jeb Bush, or the Bushes, at one time before Trump came along. I mean, there's a reason Trump goes after him, and yet everybody goes after him. And it's like, no, he's calling out the truth. He called Ron DeSantis a Jeb Bush globalist. That's what he is, too, because they all went to Skull and Bones. Jeb Bush, John Kerry, all of them. So that's what he is. And his wife didn't want to disclose who her family names were because she knew people would trace it back, and likely goes to this crime family. So no matter how much good he does, and no matter how much Glenn Beck and Dave Rubin want to carry on, just realize Dave Rubin, Glenn Beck, all of them, they're likely in secret societies too, which is basically your mob life. Because why would they push somebody that was in Skull and Bones, or that had really praised the Bushes of all people? It's a damn globalist zoo.